Okay, guys, as promised, I said I would do some videos on some of the ones that you guys didn't understand for before your chapter test. So the first one I got was number 11, and I apologize. This is actually my fault. I told you guys that none of these problems or none of these answers would work for this, when in fact D40 is the correct answer. So if you had 40 down, that is the correct answer. You can just substitute in A through D to try to find out which one will give you a volume of 16,000 inches cubed. But if you tried to solve the equation, you would make the substitutions in. You put 16,000 in for V, you put 10 in for H, and then you would just go through the algebra and solve for R by taking the square root of both sides. You'd have to multiply by 3, divide by 10, divide by pi, and then take the square root of R squared to get that. You get about 39.1 for R, and the closest one is D40. So that was number 11. The next one that you guys said you had problems on was number 16. So I'll give you a second to look at number 16. Number 16 says we have 8 to the x power equals 450. In order to get the exponent down, we have to take the log of both sides. So when you take the log of both sides, one of the properties of logarithms says that we can bring the exponent down to the front as the coefficient of the log of 8. So then after that, all we have to do is divide both sides by the log of 8. Remember that these are just numbers, that the log of 450 and the log of 8, that's basically saying 10 raised to what power is 8? 10 raised to what power is 450? They're just numbers. So we can divide these two numbers. Make sure you don't cancel these logs out, okay? This is the power I take 10 to get 450. This is the power I take 10 to get 8. They don't cancel out. So we get, when you type that into your calculator, you get about 2.938. And it does say round to the nearest thousandth, so we need to go to the third decimal point. Okay, the next one you guys said was number 17. So 17 is very similar to 16. The first thing we have is log base 7, 14. So basically this is saying 7 raised to what power is 14. So you can write that as an exponential equation, and then we take the log of both sides, just like we did in number 16. And then when we take the log of both sides, we bring the x down to the front, we divide both sides by the log of 7. You can just type that right into your calculator, log of 14 divided by log of 7, and you get 1.36 as your answer. And it does say round to the nearest hundredth, so I rounded to the nearest hundredth. Okay, the next one you identified as a problem was number 25, where we had 5 times the natural log of b plus 2 times the natural log of c, and they wanted us to write this as a single logarithm. So they put these two logs together. Okay, so if we do this, the first thing I want to do is bring the 5 back up so that it's the exponent of b, and bring the 2 back up so that it's the exponent of c. So I have the natural log of b to the 5th plus the natural log of c squared. Now that I have the addition of two logarithms, I can write that as the logarithm of a product. So it's the natural log of b to the 5th times c squared. That is your final answer. The next one we have is number 26. Okay. And on number 26, you're asked to evaluate the natural log of 1 over e to the 7th. So this is the same as, anytime I have 1 over something, it's the same as, it's the reciprocal of whatever is in the denominator. So I can rewrite that as e to the negative 7th. 1 over e to the 7th is the same as e to the negative 7th. And if I have the natural log of e to the negative 7th, this is basically saying e raised to what power is e to the negative 7. Remember that the base of the natural log is e. So e raised to what power is e to the negative 7? Obviously, negative 7 is the power. So you'd have to know that 1 over e to the 7th is the same as this. This is not the only way you could have done this. You could have taken the natural log of the natural log of 1 minus the natural log of e to the 7th, and you still would have gotten negative 7. You'd have 0 minus 7, which is negative 7. So either way you did it is fine. This is probably the easiest way. Okay, then you guys asked for number 27. So basically in 27 you have an equation that you, in terms of d, that you want to solve for t. So I think in the equation it says write t as a function of d. So they're trying to get you to solve this for t. So the steps to solve for t would be, first we need to get rid of this 6. We need to divide both sides by 6. So we have d divided by 6 is equal to the cubed root of t squared. Okay, so how do we undo this cubed root? Well, to undo the cubed root, we're going to cube both sides. Then I get d divided by 6. You can't see that. D divided by 6 is equal to d divided by 6 cubed equals t squared. And then the next step would be to undo the square by taking the square root of both sides. So we have the square root of d divided by 6 cubed is equal to t, and there is your final answer. You just want to be able to take the equation and isolate a variable. Okay, 28 was the same kind of problem. You're just trying to take an equation and rewrite it so that the other variable is solved for. So in this problem, we have s is equal to 6.492 times the 7th root of p. So again, how do I get p by itself? First, we're going to divide both sides by 0.6492. So we get s divided by 0.6492 is equal to the 7th root of p. And then to undo that 7th root, we're going to take everything to the 7th power. So I'm going to get 6 divided by 0.492, or excuse me, s divided by 6.492 to the 7th power is equal to p. Okay, 29 was the next question. It was basically the last page, which seemed to be the problems that you guys had. So for number 29, we have Max, whose grandparents invested $800 for him, and he's going to withdraw the money on his 21st birthday. It makes 10% interest, which is really good. But so here's his 800. We're going to use the formula for compound interest, which is a equals p to times 1 plus r over n to the nt power. Remember, n stands for the number of times per year that the interest is compounded. R is the annual rate, and t is the number of years or the amount of time that has elapsed. So if we just make our substitutions, 800 is the starting amount or the principal. The 1 is the constant. We have the rate was 10%, so that is 0.10 or 1/10. N is how many times per year. Now it doesn't say that the interest was compounded monthly, and now I'm just realizing that I did this problem wrong, because it does say it's compounded continuously. So that changes everything. So the equation that we would have to use would be 800 times e to the 0.1 times 21st power.